Hey guys, Kevin Downey here from Kevin M. Downey and strategic advisor at Aptive Index. Thanks for taking the time today. Really appreciate it. Great to have you. Today's topic, probably one of my favorite topics, or the ones I get most enthused and emotional about in some ways, because it is such a serious pain point in what we deal with clients all the time, almost an epidemic at this point, and clients are starting to get it. They're starting to see it. Not as much as I would like, certainly, but they're starting to see it. And that is, how do we find a sales rep that's built for cold outreach, for prospecting, business development, cold calling, whatever you want to call it, right? That is, and this is obviously a business-to-business company kind of thing, B2B, as we would say. And it's the most common thing that we recruit is clients who want a salesperson who can do their own business development, right? Or our second most popular thing would be dedicated business development reps. Now, we recruit everything in sales, of course, but the most common thing that we get requested is sales that can do their own business development, right? They want to hire a sales rep, and they view the sales rep, and we'll call this a hunter sales rep. I'm going to show you a bunch of profiles from Aptive Index, but they expect that to also be a person who can do cold outreach or should do cold outreach and actually is built for it. And they're not. And I'm going to show you what the solution is for your company. Different options, different ideas. Okay. So first of all, if you're not familiar with, I'm going to cover Aptive Index just for a second here. If you're not familiar with Aptive Index and you have a link from me to take it, whether you're an owner, a sales leader, a marketing person, whatever, take it. You're going to find it fascinating. HR. Okay, the accuracy level will blow you away. If you don't have a link, go to our website, kevinmdowney.com, and there's a link up here. Take Aptive Index, click the link, you can take it, and again, it'll kick you a PDF back, and it'll blow you away on the level of accuracy. Okay, so really quick, Aptive Index is all about drive-based hiring. Okay, so very quick overview. You know, this is just an outline, right? It's a 100-year-old science. It's been used in business for decades. Their oldest competitor has been around since the 80s. More companies are turning to it. And this example is one really good microcosmic example of what companies are finally seeing. Right. But there's other things. The pressure of money and people and other things obviously is more critical to make people move going in this direction. So turnover is getting really painful and expensive for companies. Right. And so they have to reduce turnover and find more top performers for their company in every department, every position. You got to have people that are top performers that are going to stay a long time and stick. Can't have this turnover stuff going on. All of these ghosting, toxic hires, all that stuff. It's killing companies' numbers. It's making things very difficult. It hits everything, right? It's like an exponential effect. And I think if you're an owner, you certainly can understand that. Okay. Now, Aptive Index, if you're not familiar, what it is and does, it measures attributes. They're called cognitive attributes that are established in your teams and don't change. These attributes are fundamental needs and motivations that drive our decisions and our actions. Top performers do jobs that match their attributes. We know that statistically. It's a fact. Resumes, experience, they don't tell you who's going to be good as an employee. This does, right? The job matching the attributes is what makes you top performers. The tasks feel natural, engaging, and sustainable. It's like rolling downhill. You're writing with your dominant hand kind of feel. Time flies by during the day. That's a top performer. That's somebody who's engaged and energized by their job. If the job doesn't match the attributes, we're doing things that fight our natural drives. It creates stress, burnout, underperformance, or non-performance in the case of sales, and we're going to talk about that. Everything is an uphill battle. It's like writing with our non-dominant hand. Okay? We want to hire people so that their attributes match the job's requirements. I'm going to show you again a specific example of hiring for sales. And we got a quote here. This is a sales leader that was a D1 ball player, ended up in corporate America, didn't make it in the MLB. And he was on Aptive Index's competitor in this company for a long, long time. And it's a good product. It's one of the few really good competitors out there. And he said, and now they're on Aptive and he loves it because the AI and the science is better and all that stuff. But he said, working without it is like playing baseball without a glove. It's just, you're completely handicapped. Okay, so let's talk about our problem, specifically hiring for somebody that is built to do cold outreach. We're going to look at 5 sales profiles, and this isn't all of them. We've built a lot of different sales profiles for companies that are variations of these because of nuances in account management and client success and customer support related sales type roles, all kinds of stuff, right? But I'm going to show you these main 5 because they're the 5 common big ones, I would say. If you're, again, not familiar with Aptive Index, got to take it. Here's what it's going to look like. So you're going to get a PDF, and it's going to give you your primary profile is based on 4 drives: influence, sociability, consistency, and precision. Okay? Secondary attributes, which do not affect your primary profile, what we do use in hiring, and it does matter for sales, is emotional resonance, pro-social, intensity, and abstraction. And I would say these 3 come into play. Okay? And then here, all of them come into play to some degree, but I would say it's primarily these 3 here that affect the profile of what we're hiring. Okay, so let's take a look at, let's go the one that's more B2C. So we're going to look at one call close. Okay, what is a one call closer? You get it in B2B sometimes, but I would say it's pretty rare. It's not that far from a hunter, actually, or a farmer, but a little bit different. It is someone, it's kind of a combination of a hunter and a farmer in B2B. And this is a more common B2C thing. You'd see it in residential construction, like in window sales. Reps are all set on set appointments. They go into the home. They have to assess the situation, create a proposal, and get paper on one call. They may have a second appointment that they go into to try to get paper, but for the most part, it's a one-call deal. That's a one-call close. They have no relationship with the customer in the long run. They're not doing any of the fulfillment. Their job's to go get paper. That's it. Okay? All right, let's look at some of the common B2B stuff we deal with. Here's farmer sales, and I'm going to get to the key ones for cold calling here in a minute, and farmer sales is not one built for it either. Farmer sales rep, what people hire a lot of, but they want to hire hunters. But they do hire a lot of farmers because that's where a lot of people get great quotas and great numbers because they've been in a business and worked with customers for a long time, had created relationships. What are we looking for in the attributes that's going to make a good farmer? High sociability, high pro-social. If you don't understand what those mean, there's other videos out there. If you take it, it'll make more sense. You'll get the results. It'll make more sense. But on the surface, I want high sociability, high pro-social. It's all about relationship. It's all about being able to walk in and get a reorder and upsell and cross-sell, and they trust your rep, over time, and the rep can do almost anything they want and all kinds of stuff. But our intensity level and our influence is not quite the same. Right? Consistency is not really the same. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with high social, right? It's all about relationship. Hunter sale, totally different. High influence. Sociability, not that important. I want influence and intensity. They got to go chase after leads, present multiple times, keep chasing after decision makers they've been talking to, and keep pushing and pushing and pushing till they can get in front of them, present multiple times, and chase to get paper. They need to have authority and influence because it's not about a relationship in the grand scheme of things. It's all about authority and having influence over people. Okay, so when we're looking for hunter sales, that's what we're looking for. But they're not cold callers. Okay, now let me explain the difference in what has changed. Hunter sales reps could do their own prospecting 20, 30, 40 years ago because they could go out and prospect door to door, right? Boots on the ground, pick up the phone. They can make 20 to 30 stops and talk to 10 to 15 people, decision makers in a day. They were selling a lot of the time. There wasn't so much pushback and refusal to see salespeople. And everybody was on site and they were all on location. And there was just all of these things that now that we look back were huge advantages. And of course we complained about them back then to some degree, right? But they were huge advantages. But what we have in B2B is companies trying to hire this, they end up wanting to hire a hunter sales rep that can do their own prospecting, and they're not the same thing, and I'm going to show you in a second, but a lot of times what they end up hiring, and this is the worst part, is they hire farmers. They're not built for prospecting. They're really not good hunters. They're just really good if they can get the customer, they can keep them and build a relationship. Well, that's great. But if they don't get any customers in the first place, we got a problem. All right, so hunter's better, but they're not built for the routine of business development. So what do? So if you're looking to hire, so I'm tricking you a little bit here 10 minutes in. If you're looking to hire a sales rep that can do their own prospecting, technically any of them can. Who's built for it? It's not a hunter sales rep, it's this one. It's BDR. So I'm going to tell you should separate the roles. What we're seeing in B2B sales team structure now is we have our salespeople, and they have to be booked with leads or appointments, all of them, all day, every day. They're maybe working with their existing customers if they're partly farmers, but they are not prospecting. It's a waste of money. They're too expensive. We can't afford to put $125,000 people out there doing research, playing patty cake on LinkedIn, and screwing around trying to find a decision maker. That's a waste of money. They need to be selling. They need to be presenting. That's what they're built for. They aren't built to do cold outreach. So what we see, and getting to the point now 11 minutes in, is that salespeople who are really salespeople aren't built for cold outreach. It's not what they do. They want to sell. So they end up not doing it more often than not. And that's what we see as the biggest problem in B2B right now, is we have companies wanting to hire salespeople. They hire the skills, experience, and the resume, which, by the way, is one of the worst ways to hire people as far as predicting performance. And they hire them, and they give them the salary, and they expect all these things, and they got this network. Oh, and the network's going to close some deals for them, too. So they've got this network. They maybe had a book of business. They were connected, and they end up getting 1, 2, 3 old customers to come over and sign on, and that's it. Nothing else happens. Why? Because they're not built for prospecting. Modern prospecting takes high C, right? They got high C, and technically, there's one thing missing here is emotional resonance has to be low. Emotional resonance has to be low because they got to be able to brush off the rejection they're going to face and the repetition day to day. So high C, they're doing the same pattern day after day after day, time after time, 50 to 100 times. Moderate intensity, but they're low ER. And why do we want low ER? And I'm going to show you. This is a person who is our BDR/SDR. If you want to see, there's a little bit of difference between the two. SDR would mean inbound leads and only dealing with inbound leads, but they're moving them to sales. That's more of a software thing. Some other companies, BDR is pure outbound or almost all outbound. Our rep at Kevin Downey, Leo, is actually a hybrid. He's BDR, SDR. Okay. Leo, if you looked at his resume, nobody would ever look at him for sales, any sales role. And in particular, right, BDR, SDR. Nobody. But we went off wiring pattern. And what do we get? We get a rock star. Rock star, 6 months in. Absolutely phenomenal. Does a great job. Why? He's built for it. Look at that C drive and look at that intensity and look at his ER. He's built to do cold outreach, handle the pattern of doing it over and over again every day, all day, and he can handle the fact that he's going to deal with negative mostly. No, not interested. Hang up on me. They hang up on him. Tell him no, don't call me back, right? Some vulgarity gets mixed in there. Doesn't faze him. He just plugs away like the Energizer Bunny. He's built for it. He's not, this is a different thing. Hunter sales is not a prospecting agent. That's not what they do. So let me give you this final tip when you look at the big picture. If you have a sales team, think about restructuring, and I have a dedicated video on this, on restructuring your sales team in a way that your salespeople, whether they're hunters or farmers or whatever, are dealing with existing customers, appointments, or at worst leads. That's it. That's all they should be dealing with. You can't have $100,000 salespeople, or even if they're not that high, like 125, but some would say, well, we only pay our reps 40, 50, 60,000. We're in print or corporate gift or promotional products. Okay, doesn't matter. They're not built to cold call. They're not cold calling anyway. They're not doing any prospecting. When you tell them to prospect, they start flitting around on LinkedIn and sending manual emails. They don't want to pick up the phone. So why are we trying to force it? So let's take our reps that are successful. We keep them. We have one rep if we're hiring farmers or hunters for that matter. We take one rep that does not have a full book of business or does not have a full schedule. And we build the business development team and the email marketing infrastructure to drive that person leads and appointments till their days are full. Once their days are full, if you can do more business development and marketing, then add another layer and add another rep, right? If you're a micro business and a startup and you sell for yourself, for example, don't go hire a sales rep. Worst thing you can possibly do. Go hire a business development rep to drive you appointments, right? Have them do the outreach, drive you appointments, because they're going to be built for it. If you go hire a sales rep, you're going to end up hiring this, or at best this. You're going to pay through the nose for the resume. They maybe have a network. I love that phrase, that word, and connections. And they have all the glorious resume. And by the way, they can sell themselves in an interview really, really well. All of these people can. And you're going to end up paying through the nose, and the needle's never going to move. Why? Because they're going to try to figure out some way to not cold call every day because they want the variability. They don't want the routine. They're not high C. They're not built for that. It turns them off. They don't want to do it. And so they don't. And that's why we have the epidemic in America we have right now. If you are absolutely insistent that you are going to hire one person to do this job, you want to take what the sales role looks like at the end, whether it's a farmer or a hunter, and you want to hybrid that with the BDR, and we go in between. But I'm not a fan of that. But if you have to do it, that's the way to do it. So we build a profile. If you become a client of Aptive Index and you sign up for the platform, we're going to build jobs that then are a hybrid between those two things. I don't think that's the right solution, but we can do it, no problem. Okay, and then you can find out the attributes and you can measure them, and you can say, that person is a fit for what we're trying to do. Just like BDR, if you're an Aptive Index subscriber or client, you run the job, everybody's taking this. Does it really matter for a BDR if they have industry experience? Does it really matter if they have a network? Even for sales, it really doesn't matter in most cases. They can be taught almost anything, right? And that's one thing that'll set off a lot of owners because they want to hear, oh no, they got to have industry experience. We're special. We're unique. We're relationship based. Stop that. Business development's business development regardless of what industry you're in. I've been around it for 10 years. Absolutely doesn't matter. The process is the same. Got to have the lingo, sure. Right, and certainly in medical and chemical and industrial, there are certain times where you've got some technical or very complex things that they need to be educated for in advance or they have to have experience in so that you can coach them up and train them within reason. Absolutely agree that that's sometimes the case, but those circumstances are really not near as many as business owners and sales leaders would like to believe. Industry experience don't mean a hill of beans, all things being equal. Like if I'm hiring for a promotional products company or print, why the hell do I care if they have industry experience? Unless they are bringing over a full book of business, I don't care. At the end of the day, I need somebody to prospect or I need somebody to sell. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm hiring wiring pattern. I'm not hiring resume. Will I look at resume? Absolutely. What I'm looking for there is red flags. I'm looking for turnover. I'm looking for job hopping all the time. But at the end of the day, my first thing I'm looking at is wiring pattern and then interview, right? So anyway, think about that. If you want to hire somebody that's built for prospecting, this is what you do. You use Aptive Index. Run everybody through it. We match the person to the wiring pattern to the job, right? We're not hiring for sales. We're hiring somebody who's built to do cold outreach. If we want to hire sales, then we hire sales. Then we hire a totally different kind of thing. But they're not built to sit there and do cold outreach every day. Again, they're going to try to circumvent it. They're not going to call. They're going to play around on LinkedIn. They're going to send them manual emails. They'll try to say that they're networking or going to some, BNI thing or some networking group or some BS like that. But at the end of the day, what they need to do is get boots on the ground or just pound the phone. And they don't want to do it. Why? Because they're not built for it. All right, so hopefully that helps you. You want to take it, KevinMDowney.com. Appreciate you being here. Best of luck in business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.